French President Emmanuel Macron just made the biggest mistake of his political career, and it only took other countries about 5 seconds to expose exactly how ridiculous it is. What happened next is so embarrassing for the European globalist elite that you won't believe it's real, but it is. And by the end of this video, you understand precisely why Trump's Greenland strategy just became unstoppable. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your patron professor, celebrating yet another day in the Trumpian golden age that you made possible back on November of 2024. So if you want a front row seat on how you continue to change the world in ways you never even imagined, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. On Wednesday, French President Emmanuel Macron announced a dramatic escalation in the war over Greenland, announcing that France would deploy land, air, and sea assets to Greenland at Denmark's request, taking to X with all the gravitas of a man defending the free world. Macron declared, quote, "At the request of Denmark, I've decided that France will participate in the joint exercises organized by Denmark in Greenland, Operation Arctic Endurance. The first French military elements are already on their way. Others will follow." He went on to threaten President Trump, saying there would be, quote, "unprecedented consequences if the United States takes Greenland from Denmark." Sounds impressive, does it not? France rushing in to defend a NATO ally from American aggression. Europe standing united against Trump's territorial ambitions. The headlines practically wrote themselves. Then someone asked a very simple question. So how many troops is France actually sending? Turns out, 15. I kid you not. This is not a joke. It's 15. 50 corroborated. Multiple media outlets. 15. 15 mountain warfare specialists. As for the other countries, Germany is sending 13. 13 reconnaissance personnel. Sweden, they're sending 3. Norway, 2. Britain, 1. The Hill actually ran with the utterly gaslit headline, "European troops arrive in Greenland," only to admit buried deep, many paragraphs below, that Europe was only sending 34 troops. That's right, 34 total European troops rushing in to defend Greenland from the aggression of the United States military. I mean, it was so patently pathetic, so hilariously pitiful that none other than the Russian Security Council Deputy Chairman Dmitry Medvedev, never one to miss an opportunity, went straight for the jugular on X, writing, quote, "The Gaelic cock has crowed that if the sovereignty of Denmark is affected, the consequences would be unprecedented." Ooh, what will they do? Kidnap the president of the United States? Nuke the U.S.? Of course not. They'll just shit their pants and give up Greenland. And that would be a great European precedent. Now, here's what makes this absolutely priceless. It gets worse. It gets more embarrassing for Macron and the bullies in Brussels. The entire European deployment, this massive show of force that Macron is so proud of, is happening, as you heard in his tweet, under an operation called Arctic Endurance. It sounds official, right? Sounds like a long-planned NATO exercise that's been on the books for months. Just one problem, it's not. Defense News did some digging and discovered something extraordinary. Quote, "Operation Arctic Endurance does not appear to have any publicly communicated start or end dates, very atypical for NATO exercises, which are usually communicated well in advance. There does not appear to be an online record of an operation by that name being publicly discussed prior to January 14th. Yeah, that's yesterday. A search of the NATO website similarly returned no results. In other words, this operation, this supposedly official NATO operation, it didn't exist until 24 hours ago. It didn't exist until the exact moment an exasperated Denmark needed a cover story for begging Europe to help them stand up to Trump. They literally had to make it all up on the spot. And at the exact same time, this absolutely embarrassing show of pathetic weakness was on display. The Danish foreign minister with other Danish diplomats met with Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio. The meeting lasted about an hour, and when the Danish team emerged to face reporters, they looked like they had just been run over by a freight train. It was quite clear. Yeah, it's called the Trump train, right? It was quite clear to them, to everyone, that President Trump was absolutely intent on the United States taking control over Greenland, and there was frankly nothing that Denmark or those 34 European troops could do about it. Trump is not backing down. In fact, he's only turning up the pressure.
Respected.
Well, we're going to see what happens with Greenland. We need Greenland for national security, so we're going to see what happens. They're going to brief me on the meeting right after this conference. In fact, the sooner I get you out, the faster I'm going to know exactly what happened. But we have a very good relationship with Denmark, as you know. We'll see. But, we're doing the Golden Dome. We're doing a lot of things, and we really need it. If we don't go in, Russia's going to go in, and China's going to go in. And there's not a thing that Denmark can do about it, but we can do everything about it.
So what on earth is actually happening here? What's really going on with the European elite and Greenland? Well, that's exactly what we're going to find out. But first, there are bombshell revelations coming out that are absolutely ripping the mask off deep state corruption. Venezuela's former intelligence chief just exposed Maduro's narco-terror network allied with China, Iran, Russia, and Hezbollah, looting trillions while evading sanctions. In a direct letter to President Trump, he alleges corrupt U.S. politicians, diplomats, and CIA officers took millions to prop up the regime. Gang, those exact same corrupt tentacles are strangling our financial system today, manipulating fiat money and quietly draining hardworking Americans' retirement savings to bankroll their radical globalist schemes. President Trump is leading the counterattack, establishing a strategic Bitcoin reserve, making America the crypto capital of the world, and opening retirement accounts to crypto. His family are major players, pouring their faith and fortunes into it because decentralized crypto is the one wealth fortress the deep state can't steal. You could take the exact same stand today with Block Trust IRA. Their groundbreaking Animus AI platform has outperformed Bitcoin by over 250% since 2020, delivering the shield and growth real patriots need. Head on over to TurleyTalksCrypto.com right now and get a free $2,500 funding bonus when you open up your account. That's TurleyTalksCrypto.com to secure your family's future today. Greenland sits between North America and Europe in the Arctic Ocean. When we look from above, as it were, from the vantage point of the Arctic, we can really see in many respects an entirely new world. Northern Greenland, along with Alaska, lies in the shortest route between Russia and the continental United States, meaning Russian ballistic missiles or bombers targeting America would fly directly over Greenland. Trump is intent on setting up part of his Golden Dome missile defense shield in Greenland as part of America's northernmost military installation, along with missile warning systems, satellite tracking, and space surveillance that feed directly into U.S. homeland defense. Beyond missile defense, Greenland controls what's called the GIUK Gap, the maritime choke point between Greenland, Iceland, and the UK, which is critical for monitoring Russian and Chinese submarines entering the Atlantic. As the Arctic ice melts, new shipping lanes are opening, transforming what was once a frozen barrier into a contested trade corridor. Russia's heavily militarized the Arctic with bases, icebreakers, and submarine fleets, while China, actually declaring itself a near-Arctic state, is investing billions in Arctic infrastructure and the Northern Sea route with Russia. The economic stakes are equally enormous. Greenland holds massive reserves of rare earth minerals that are essential for smartphones, electric vehicles, advanced weapon systems, and renewable energy technology. Now, currently, as we speak, China controls 90% of global rare earth processing capacity. 90%, giving Beijing coercive leverage over Western economies and militaries. Accessing Greenland's minerals would break China's monopoly and secure America's technological supply chains. All this means that Trump's push for Greenland isn't impulsive, it's strategic realism. With the death of the old liberal international order and the institutional protocols that govern that order, a new world order is rising. A world of civilization states, where great power blocks like Russia, China, and India are more and more staking their claims within their own sovereign civilizational and geographic spheres. And that is precisely what President Trump is doing here in the Western Hemisphere. As climate change unlocks Arctic resources and trade routes, Greenland will determine who dominates the 21st century's most strategically vital region. And Trump understands that in great power competition, geography is destiny. And Greenland's geography makes it America's next strategic imperative. And ironically, European elites have been caught sleeping. They've literally been blindsided by the fact that the old liberal globalist order is dead. The world is changing, and they've been caught completely flat-footed for all the world to see. Macron can send in all the mountain specialists he wants. Germany can deploy all the reconnaissance teams it can muster. Russia will keep laughing, and Trump will keep winning. Because at the end of the day, Greenland will find its place in an era of civilization states, not European elite posturing. And everyone at the White House meeting on Wednesday figured that out. Welcome to Trump's second term, where America leads and Europe follows, whether they like it or not.